Wake movement. It's a cooler day than normal here in Florida. Sorry, I keep on losing my connection. I need to pay my phone bill. In the mystic traditions, we're not supposed to have many identities at all. And the teaching is that we attach to that identity that we create for our personality, and we make an idol out of it, and we live in it. And it's a phantom, it's a phantasm, it's not real. It's a demon even. It exists in our head, and especially when we feel some type of way about it, it's existing in reality, just on a level that we can't see with our material senses so much. And then usually that's the last, then it comes into the material realm. I say that to say this. Waking up is hopefully consciously waking up out of identification politics, religion, us versus them, and then waking up to where that is set up. Besides waking up to the elite and their new world freaking order. Hello! And it ushers in the Aquarian age, the 7th ion. We're waking up to the Cabal, the Dark Cabal, Charlie. It's the Bonfungol. It's the Knights of Malta. It's the Jesuits. It's the Illuminati. It's the Sabatine Frankists, if they get that far even. The Jacobians. It's not anything else. And there is a common thread through all those things. Masonry is based on Solomon's Temple, which is an Abrahamic construct, as is Christianity and Islam and all the many sects and derivations to pour forth out of that. What I push for is syncretism through looking at the mystical traditions to find out questions as to what we're here to do, why we're here, how we got here. Waking up to who we are, self-knowledge, individuation, consciousness unfolding. Waking ourselves up to our own divinity, apotheosis, the turning into a god. April opens up spring. Apotheosis, like apocalypse, opening up the eyes. They have the apotheosis of, I think, Julius Caesar, other emperors, and perhaps pharaohs. They also have the apotheosis of George Washington painted on the Capitol dome. Just like they try to set up a new Rome. Remus and Romulus, mythical founders. Lots of the time twins, and one gets sacrificed and one doesn't, which is related to the Passover goat sacrifice, the scapegoat sacrifice. Done in Capricorn season. And you let one go, and then you put the sins of the nation of Israel on the other, which Jesus served as that scapegoat in that narrative, in that story. Now, there are spiritual things to learn from these things. Cosmological, metaphysical, metaphorical, allegorical teachings and knowledge to be gained, understood, worked with, tried, tested. But they've kept most of this shit away from us, only reserved for the elite, for those in the know, the royals, the high priests. And namely what it is the opening up of our freaking consciousness. Turns out that has to do with our health. I know I like to abandon and ignore that. Yeah, and not just our physical health, our mental health, our psychological health. Dare I say, our spiritual fucking progress as a species. The elite do not think of poor people as one of them, less human. Religions also get a chance to come in there and add on to that. The idea of the goyim being a Gentile who is likened to the cattle of the field in some religious traditions, or infidels that need to be annihilated. But we could take the beautiful mystical teachings of these traditions. In Islam, we have the Sufis, the whirling dervishes, that are pointing us to the very cyclical part of this world, and our chakra wheels especially. Would you believe that? Yeah, and the Gnostic teachings that I've come across, they teach breathing exercises. It's syncretic. They bring everything together, and there's a common thread. Now, what I don't agree with in the Gnostic traditions is they talk about one made popular by a guy named Samael Aun-Weor, who was a Rosicrucian. They who came out teaching about sexual transmutation. Really, he says when he came out and did that the Black Lodge teaching Black Tantra, Black Magic, they really hyped up their dumping of pornography upon the fucking culture. If we could harness our energy better, we could be really in a better place, I think, and dangerous to the system, which is why they have us wasting it on everything, and which is why we try to look to energy drinks and caffeine constantly to keep us going, because we're depleted energetically, and energy is very much tied to spiritual phenomena. Something like a phenomenon. Damn, a Lamborghini SUV. You're not supposed to be too materialistic, but that'd be bad. I heard a meme, I think I even shared it, and it said, Lamborghinis don't advertise in commercials because their target audience isn't sitting behind the TV. Oh, damn, shots fired. I was on my phone in front of the TV, watching a TV in front of a TV. Ah! Oh, shit. These teachings push for self. Pulled over on the side of the highway. Cray. Evaluation, being critical, holding up a mirror to yourself, passing through the void. And they bring you through this. Everybody is driving crazy in front of me. Whoa, when you start teaching this stuff, the world don't like it, bro. They're throwing curses in so that you don't get it. You know what? God sometimes, if he has to, will put the idea of a hot woman in our head. And be like, all right, I want to get married to a hot woman and have a beautiful family. And it might be all right to have that a phantom in our head, that non-existent thing, if we make it into a magical thing. See, our imagination can lead us astray, and it is an essential tool of building our fucking temple. Talking like a mason. That we had to build our temple, which is our mind, and that's where we go to when we die in this mother. But it's also got to be in line with the laws of creation. But then you go to the non-creator world and create your own laws. Aleister Crowley talks about law. Liber, the book, the power of the word, my friend. Word is bond, son. It really is. The magician is the one who realizes that and can control it. Ride that donkey or ride the goat. Another Masonic reference. No, they're gonna come after me for exposing all this shit. I love my life. I love my life. It's awesome. What these teachings do is ultimately help us to be more in the now, like Eckhart Tolle, however you say his last name, Tolle. The power of now. Also, the law of attraction is another Hermetic principle that as without, so within, and magic. So here's the most powerful tool for you and your tool, fellow gentlemen and women. Take it and just interpret it into a woman, because women have masculine in them and men have the feminine in it, which is the whole fucking point of the whole story, is to realize that and then bring them together. Heaven and earth, the message of the cross, sex, ultimately. Spirit matter, the penis, the vagina. Now that happens on a spiritual plane. It's got to, we see it. So Masonry encouraged free thinking, at least for the most part, as opposed to the Catholic Church and religion. Although Masonry is a religion, they'll say they're not. They could take in others. That's just like Gnosis of the Gnostics, which takes these stories allegorically, mainly for sexual transmutation. To harness energy in knowing that your spine is your staff. And it's got 7 freaking lotus flowers on that mother at the top, a pine cone, like the rod of Bacchus. Dipped in honey. Found floating down the Milky Way. There's a constellation called the Cluster, as a beehive in the area of the heavens, the constellation Cancer, where the Milky Way is. That is the land of milk and honey. Now, when we realize that the story of, especially the Old Testament and the New Testament, because the New Testament is built on the Old Testament, they all fall down amongst historically critical scrutiny, namely just freaking reasonableness, breaking out of the God spell. So, if this Bible God was really the God, not just created by the authors and used for manipulative purposes, that's a pretty fucking dickhead God. Oh man. I think we need to what I do is just, so they just teach people just to hate religion, but it offers stuff. The one pure religion, and it's really just a school of thought to take to your religion. knowing the deeper esoteric hidden meanings of it. So that does make you a little bit of an outcast in society, but you can still choose to like participate. I mean, I'm not. You do whatever the frick you want. I'm just going on a mental journey. Can one in their own? Let me ask you a question. Can one in our living in our own truth authentically partake in, say, the Catholic Mass, knowing that it is an immoral scapegoat rituals for the sins of a people put on another people, and then a human being was put into the place of that, and to see how it's being used to totally bankrupt us. And then we get a chance to go and dig up our ancestral traditions and archetypical figures, goddesses, relationships with Earth before it got cast down and before we got cast out as a foreigner in our own land, apologizing, taking on a foreign religion, and then fighting others about it. Oh my God. That has nothing to fucking do with me, nor the great grand majority, but for a certain community just spitting bars. 2 watchers and a thumbs up today. New record. Ring the bell. Wake movement. But these are all things to wake to. Wake up to our own divinity. Know thyself is the inscription on the entrance to many a freaking temple of wisdom. Now they teach that you could even travel there in the astral realm. Go check into the White Lodge. You know, the world, our life brings us through ordeals. We don't need some guy in a robe to play the hand of God to bring us through it. But perhaps there is also things to be learned and experienced in that. That's healthy. But it seems like they break down people psychologically and they build them up as their freaking trained soldier marching off to Zion, fighting a war for somebody else that actually thinks I'm a fucking Gentile and not even a human being, and that my soul is totally different, as different from God's chosen than it is from an animal and a human. This is religion gone wrong. Other examples of religion gone wrong. Waiting for the end of time, secretly working for it, or at least complacent about it, and secretly giddy about it. What? Besides self-hate, how somehow God chose one people and 99.9% of the population were an afterthought and just stuck around, much to the chagrin of God, of Abraham, and still punishes the Jacob tribe because it didn't wipe out completely all of the other nations. God forbid. These are things we should wake up to. Knowing that the separation between church and state is a farce. Truly living in the world of phantom. But the big donors to the colleges, Look up the recent case of Roth, a civil rights leader